Let's start with the shocking headline that completely exploded across social media.
It's very uncertain for the entire league in general, but you're a free agent for the first time. Have you thought about what free agency might look like for you if you'd like to be back?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a restricted free agent, so I think that changes things a little bit, but I've loved my years here in Indiana. So obviously with a lot of uncertainty, you don't know what's to come, but I've built a life here, and I love this franchise. I love the people, I love the fans, so we'll see what comes.
Caitlin Clark isn't just changing the league anymore. She's changing her own front office. Reports are spreading everywhere that Clark quietly stepped in behind the scenes, urging Indiana Fever management to keep Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hull, two of her closest allies, on and off the court. She didn't just make a suggestion. She made it clear that these players were non-negotiable. And here's the shocking part. It actually worked. So the question now is Caitlin Clark using her influence wisely? Or is she crossing a line by getting involved in front office decisions? For weeks, everyone thought Lexi Hull's time in Indiana was over. Social media was full of farewell messages, emotional goodbyes, and rumors that she was already headed to another team. But as it turns out, the entire story was overblown, built from half quotes and clickbait headlines. The truth? Caitlin Clark stepped in before it was too late. Multiple sources confirm that Clark went directly to Fever management, making her stance crystal clear. Lexi Hull and Sophie Cunningham were off limits. She wanted them back, she trusted them, and she believed they were essential to the team's chemistry going forward. And honestly, she's not wrong. Clark's second year in the WNBA is absolutely critical, not just for her, but for the entire Indiana franchise. Last season, the Fever transformed from a struggling team to a legitimate semi-final contender, and that rise was built largely on Clark's leadership and her connection with her teammates. You can see it every time she drives to the rim and kicks the ball out to Lexi for a smooth corner three, or when Sophie fights through traffic for a gritty putback rebound. That level of trust can't be replicated through trades or free agency signings. It's chemistry that's earned, and Clark knows it. Of course, the media spun the story differently. Caitlin Clark saves her friends from being cut, makes for a juicier headline than Indiana exercises standard restricted free agent rights. The truth is, Lexi Hull's situation was never that dramatic. She's a restricted free agent, which means the Fever have full control. They can match any offer another team makes. Her farewell comments were just standard uncertainty before contract talks, nothing more. But what changed the game was Clark's subtle, powerful show of support. On one of Lexi's posts, Clark commented just 3 words, *, so proud of you. *, it wasn't a goodbye, it was a message. A signal to Lexi, to fans, and to management that she wasn't letting her teammate go. And when Caitlin Clark sends that kind of message publicly, people notice, especially the people in charge. Because this isn't 2023 anymore. Caitlin Clark isn't just a rookie sensation. She's a global brand, a multi-million-dollar voice that carries weight far beyond the court. When she speaks, it matters, to fans, to sponsors, and now, clearly, to the Indiana Fever's front office. And keeping players like Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hull isn't just about loyalty. It's about maintaining the identity that made this team special, an edge built on trust, chemistry, and the belief that this group together can do something extraordinary.
Really, really good, actually. I'm just actually really motivated, and I think I'm at a really good spot in my life where I'm just excited to just pour into my body, pour into things that I enjoy, and I'm just so excited for this upcoming season because I don't know where I'm gonna be, and I just feel like in the W, your golden years, I would say, is anywhere from 28 to 34.
Remember when Caitlin Clark went down late in the season? The whole arena fell silent. But before the noise even came back, Sophie Cunningham was the first one to step up. She faced the cameras, defended Clark, and kept the locker room steady when emotions were running high. That's leadership. And when Lexi Hull had one of those tough shooting nights, Clark didn't turn away. She kept feeding her the ball until she finally buried a 3. That's not just good basketball, that's trust. Real trust. The kind you can't coach, can't fake, and definitely shouldn't lose. So why would Indiana even consider parting ways with players like Sophie and Lexi? One word, money. The Fever are heading into an off-season where nearly half their bench hits free agency, and the salary cap is tighter than ever. Someone was always going to be the odd one out. But here's the thing. The Fever can't afford to upset the one person who single-handedly brought this franchise back to life. Caitlin Clark. That's the crazy power Clark holds right now. If she wants someone protected, the team listens. End of story. This is the same organization that used to make every decision based on analytics and 5-year plans. Now, their number one priority is keeping number 22 happy. And honestly, that's not a bad strategy. When you've got a generational player who fills arenas, sells out jerseys, and gets your team national TV time almost every week, you build around her, period. Not because she's demanding, but because she's earned it. Let's not forget, before Clark showed up, the Fever were lost. Attendance was flat, energy was gone, and they lacked a true identity. Clark didn't just bring elite playmaking. She brought life, relevance, and a fan base powerful enough to make management actually care again. So when she walks into a meeting and says, "I want Sophie and Lexi back," that's not diva behavior. That's leadership. That's vision. And for anyone calling it overstepping, let's be real. This happens everywhere in sports. Superstars shape rosters. LeBron James does it. Steph Curry does it. Aya Wilson does it. If you're the reason the lights are even on, you get a say in who's beside you. The only difference is Clark is doing it younger and faster than anyone in WNBA history. Now here's where things get even more interesting. Multiple insiders say Indiana had already planned to cut costs this offseason. That meant not matching Lexi Hull's next offer. The front office figured another team would scoop her up as a defensive role player, and they were fine with that. But once Clark's camp caught wind of the plan, everything changed. Suddenly, meetings were happening. Budgets were being reevaluated. Then came reports of a private sit-down between Clark and GM Amber Cox. Within a week, the tone from Fever management flipped completely. The same executives who were ready to let Lexi walk started talking about continuity, culture, and preserving chemistry. Translation: Clark got exactly what she wanted. And it wasn't just Lexi. Sophie Cunningham, who had faced heat for her outspoken moments and a recent league warning, was on the bubble too. But thanks to Clark's influence, both players are now expected to stay, proving once again that Caitlin Clark isn't just the face of the Fever. She's shaping their future from the inside out. The front office was apparently all set to cut Sophie Cunningham loose, just to avoid distractions. But then Caitlin Clark stepped in. Once again, clear as day, she made it known. She wanted Sophie back. Think about that. The player who got dragged online for defending Clark is now being defended by Clark herself. That's what real loyalty looks like. And that kind of loyalty just forced Indiana's management to rethink everything. Because here's the truth. If the Fever had actually let Sophie go after everything she'd done for Clark, it would have been a massive PR disaster. Fans would have seen it as a total betrayal. You simply don't cut the one player who physically stepped up to protect your franchise superstar when chaos hit the court. That's not just bad optics. It destroys trust between a team and its fan base. Clark's move wasn't just smart, it was necessary. She literally saved the Fever from their own worst instincts and from yet another round of negative headlines. Because let's be honest, this team doesn't need more controversy. What they need right now is stability, consistency, focus, and that rare chemistry that keeps a locker room locked in on winning instead of drama. And the trio of Clark, Sophie, and Lexi Hull? That's exactly what stability looks like. You've got Clark's fire, Sophie's fearless energy, and Lexi's calm, steady presence. It's the perfect balance. The reason the Fever were able to punch above their weight all season long. So, no, this isn't about friendship or favoritism. This is about winning, and Caitlin Clark knows exactly what it takes to win. But what she just pulled off isn't only about saving teammates. It's a statement to the entire WNBA. Clark basically told the league, asterisk, if you want to win with me, you protect my circle. Asterisk, and that message hit hard. Because make no mistake, this wasn't some quiet locker room conversation. It was a power move. Clark's voice now carries more weight than half the boardroom combined. Every major decision Indiana makes from here on out, trades, signings, marketing campaigns, will go through one filter. How does this affect Caitlin And honestly, that's exactly how it should be. You don't treat a generational player like a regular roster piece. You treat her like the foundation, the cornerstone you build everything around. And this move proves it. Caitlin Clark isn't just the star of the Indiana Fever anymore. She's the architect of their future. Now let's be real. When the story broke that she had stepped in to protect Sophie and Lexi, half the internet freaked out. Critics called it favoritism. Others said she was too controlling. But those takes completely missed the point. People forget what Clark and this team went through last season. Half the roster was battling injuries. The media pressure was relentless. Every game felt like a headline. And through all of it, Clark got hammered on the court, booed in arenas, dissected by pundits, and still showed up, dropping threes, leading comebacks, and dragging her team into the playoffs. You don't survive that kind of storm without having people in your corner. For Clark, those people were Sophie and Lexi. Sophie was the first one to speak up when critics came for her teammate. She didn't hesitate. When Clark got fouled hard, Sophie was the one ready to throw elbows. When social media turned toxic, she stood firm and defended her leader. That kind of loyalty doesn't show up in box scores, but it wins locker rooms. And then there's Lexi Hull, the glue. Quiet, composed, and steady under pressure. She's not chasing highlight reels or headlines. She just does her job. She spaces the floor, guards multiple positions, hustles on every play, and never complains about her role. Every championship team needs a player like that. You can't buy chemistry like that in free agency. You can't trade for trust. Clark knows that better than anyone. So yes, she used her influence to protect what works. That's not ego, it's leadership. And if Indiana's front office is paying attention, they'll realize Clark's move just saved them from another rebuild. Because let's be honest, the Fever have been notorious for losing momentum. They'll take one step forward and then blow it all up 6 months later. Clark's decision forces them to stop the cycle. By standing up for Sophie and Lexi, she's essentially saying, asterisk, stop rebuilding every season. Start building something that lasts. Asterisk, that's the difference between a good team and a championship team. But there's another layer the media isn't talking about enough, the timing. All this is happening right before one of the most unpredictable off-seasons in WNBA history. The league's collective bargaining agreement is expiring soon. Players are nervous. Talks of a potential lockout in 2026 are already making headlines. Everyone's worried about their future. In that climate, Clark's loyalty move hits differently. She's sending a clear signal to her teammates. If you ride with me, I'll ride with you. In a league where players often feel disposable, that kind of commitment means everything. It's also historic. No young player, male or female, has ever had this kind of influence this early in their career. Even stars like Aya Wilson or Breanna Stewart didn't get this level of pull in year 2. When Caitlin Clark speaks, ownership listens. When she posts, fans move. When she makes a request, the front office acts. Her reach isn't just about her stats anymore, it's about her influence. She's becoming something the WNBA has never truly seen before. A player whose cultural and economic power is strong enough to shape the league's direction. And keeping Sophie and Lexi doesn't just change Indiana's chemistry, it changes their entire trajectory. It sends a message that this franchise isn't rebuilding anymore. They're ready to compete now. It means Indiana is choosing chemistry over cap space, continuity over chaos. It means they're finally listening to the players who make the matter. The Fever's window is open right now. Clark is stepping into her prime. Aaliyah Boston is dominating the paint. The team has momentum, fans, and national attention like never before. You don't throw that away just to save a few $1,000s under the cap. By keeping Sophie and Lexi, the Fever are saying loud and clear, we're serious. They're not just retaining role players, they're keeping the heartbeat of their culture. And make no mistake, Caitlin Clark made that happen. Does that make her the unofficial GM of the Indiana Fever? Maybe not on paper, but in practice? Absolutely. Because let's be honest, if anyone else had gone to management asking for these players to stay, nothing would have changed. Sophie and Lexi would be gone already. But when Clark spoke, everything stopped. Suddenly, they weren't replaceable. They were essential. That's what real power looks like. And it's a sign of how fast the WNBA is evolving. The days of players just staying quiet and following orders are over. This new generation, led by Clark, is rewriting the playbook. They're not just athletes, they're stakeholders. And Caitlin Clark just showed every young player in the league how to use their leverage without drama or theatrics. She didn't tweet cryptic messages. She didn't go on a podcast to air out frustrations. She just told her team what she wanted and got it done. And the fans? They loved it. Comment sections were flooded with support. Fever fans were calling her the boss. Others said, asterisk, finally, someone who knows what this team needs. Asterisk, because deep down, everyone knows she's right. Keeping Sophie and Lexi isn't about friendship, it's about building a legacy. You don't win championships by constantly swapping rosters. You win by keeping the right people around you, the ones who make your team stronger on and off the court. Just ask the greats. Michael Jordan had Pippen, Kobe had Fisher, Steph has Draymond, and Caitlin Clark has Sophie and Lexi. They're not just teammates, they're extensions of how she plays. They balance her fire, protect her energy, and make her game smoother. That's why fans are calling this the smartest move of the offseason. Because instead of letting management tear apart something that works, Clark made sure they locked it down. That's not diva behavior. That's winning behavior. And honestly, it's about time the WNBA had a star who not only shines on the court, but understands how to build something bigger than herself. A culture, a legacy, and a future. Heading into next season, the Fever have everything they need. Leadership, chemistry, and belief. And they have Caitlin Clark to thank for that. The league might not love how much influence she's gaining, but they can't deny the results. Because one thing is absolutely clear. The Indiana Fever are no longer rebuilding. They're becoming something much more dangerous, a team built by the most powerful voice in women's basketball.